So I saw this talked about a few days ago, that the House or the Senate was putting forth a bill that would basically ban boycotting Israel, but not from government entities or like anything that's received government funding. I'm pretty sure the bill was just like for regular people, which on its face seems insane and ridiculous. You can't litigate what people can and can't spend their money on, right? That is part of. You can't be like, I don't know how you would even potentially litigate that. How could you prove somebody's choosing not to buy this specific hummus or something because they don't like because it's from Israel? Like, how could you possibly determine whether they just like this other hummus more or not? Like, I don't understand. Let's see. Hopefully, this will give more information. It all seemed very silly, and maybe that's why it didn't work out. Republican House leaders axed a planned vote on Monday for a bill intended to protect Israel from boycotts amid a backlash from some conservatives over free speech concerns. Former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz compared the provisions in the legislation to the 10th biblical plague of Egypt, the death of the firstborn. If this bill becomes law, how many Israeli products do I need in my home to avoid fines or prison? Gaetz asked. Yeah, how could you possibly enforce this? How could you possibly determine whether somebody's choosing to not purchase a product because of they're doing it because of political reasons and BDS, or because they just don't like the product and prefer another one? There's no way you could parse that out. This is so weird. You could maybe and they've done this before, I think, create some sort of similar bill, but says like if you receive federal funding or you're a federal agency or something, you're not allowed to actively change things you're already doing, like to reflect BDS goals. That could be enforceable and would make sense, but this isn't that. I hate to say I'm agreeing with Matt Gaetz, but he's right on this. If I leave an Israeli-made product outside my home, is it the 2025 version of lamb's blood that keeps my family safe? Yeah, exactly. Would you need to like prove, like have this minimum, uh, some sort of minimum threshold of proof that you're not engaging BDS? Like, it's weird. The bipartisan bill, titled the International Governmental Organizations Anti-Boycott Act, would extend existing anti-boycott legislation that bars Americans from complying with bans imposed by foreign countries to also forbid compliance with boycotts imposed by international government organizations like the United Nations. The legislation doesn't mention Israel explicitly, but the Jewish state has long been the target of international boycott efforts. I've heard of the BDS movement for over 10 years. So, yes, the boycott, divest, and sanction movement for Israel specifically has been around for a long time. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Anna Paulina Luna, and Thomas Macy were among Republicans to speak out against the bill. Americans have the right to boycott, and penalizing this risks free speech, Luna wrote. I reject and vehemently condemn anti Semitism, but I cannot violate the First Amendment. A spokesman for Representative Josh Gottheimer, a co sponsor of the bill, slammed the Republican leadership for caving to Green, who speculated in 2019 that the Rothschilds might have caused wildfires in California by beaming the sun's energy back to Earth. She just gets more hilarious every time you read something she says. It's beyond outrageous and offensive that House leadership bowed to extreme right forces and pulled this common sense bipartisan bill that makes anti-Semitic and hate-driven boycotts illegal, Tony Nguyen, Gottheimer's communications director, told JNS. Who was behind this effort, Wen said. None other than a member of Congress who once claimed that Jews have space lasers and another who refused to condemn Hamas, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Macy, should be ashamed of themselves. The bill's co-sponsor. Oh, so they're so wait, this is one of the extremely, extremely rare times that these lunatic people like Marjorie Taylor Greene come out and actually give like a principled, logical reason for their opposition to a bill. And then you're gonna come out and call it just like sort of just vaguely allude to it being ridiculous that they aren't gonna support it or whatever. Like these are your most hardcore sycophantic, like these are the MAGA of MAGAs. To the extent the Republican Party isn't the Republican Party anymore, it's the MAGA Party. They are the MAGA MAGAs. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Macy and Anna Paulina Luna. They can't do like I think that if it was almost anybody else, they would do the classic like, oh, they're too far left. Basically, try and pretend like they're a socialist or something. But they even the Republicans know they can't do that with Marjorie Taylor Greene or some of these other people. So they just have to be really broad and just be like, oh, it's bad that you don't do this. Oh, there's anti-Semitism and hate, and this would stop that. Are you crazy? You don't do this, blah blah blah, without giving any actual like counter argument to the reason why they gave for not supporting the bill. The bill's sponsor, Republican Mike Lawler, defended the legislation on the grounds that the underlying Anti-Boycott Act was signed into law by US President Donald Trump in 2018. Lawler also criticized Green for backing international government organizations. So wait, what? Bill sponsored Republican defended the legislation on the grounds that the underlying Anti-Boycott Act was signed into law by President Donald Trump in 2019. I'm not exactly sure what his criticism is. Is he criticizing her because she previously supported the bill that was the similar bill that they're building off of in 2019, but that she doesn't support, or that Marjorie Taylor Greene, and some of these other wackos don't support the amended version of it now? Is that what he's implying? That basically because Daddy Trump, why would you not? He's basically saying, why would you not support Daddy Trump? You're supposed to support Daddy Trump. You supported Daddy Trump before. Why aren't you supporting Daddy Trump now on the exact same issue that we're sort of just like working off of? That seems like what he's saying. Also, Lawler also criticized Green for backing international governmental organizations. That's so weird. Like, isn't she like the classic, like, anti-globalism, like thinks that there's a cabal of Jews running the world, that the Jewish space lasers, they have space lasers, and that Freemasons, and isn't she like full in on all that and is like inherently against governmental organizations, right? Sort of baked into the middle of all this is like a weird pseudo-libertarianism where they are against the government doing anything at all and think taxation is theft and stuff. So this criticism that Green is Lawler also criticized Green for backing international governmental organizations. I don't know if that's actually true. Is he arguing that because she's not in favor of the bill, she is necessarily in favor of international governmental organizations? It's just a weird, I don't know what he means by this. This is simply holding the United Nations accountable, Lawler wrote. Was President Trump virtue signaling when when he signed the original bill? And when did you become a defender of the United Nations? Yeah, so my assessment was 100% right. He's just a lunatic. On Friday, he's just a bad faith actor. On Friday, the office of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise released a schedule of votes for Monday that included the bill, but the updated House schedule on Monday morning did not include it. Illegal challenges arguing that similar state level anti boycott legislation violates the First Amendment have a poor record in court. In 2023, the 5th, 8th, and 11th Circuit Courts of Appeal each upheld state laws designed to counter the anti Israel boycott, divestment, and sanction movements in separate cases. The Supreme Court has declined to consider appeals to those rulings. Yeah, it would seem to me on its face the whole idea of trying to restrict average citizens on how they're going to spend their money and what they're going to buy and choose to not buy. It seems not only I can't think of a legal way that makes sense, but it also seems antithetical to the whole concept of the United States, right? We're supposed to be a pseudo free market economy where you vote with your dollar. So like this sort of how are you supposed to vote with your dollar if you're literally being restricted on the ways that you can vote with your dollar? It doesn't make sense to me. It seems antithetical to the concept of the United States as well as just stupid.